In Chainsaw Man, when a devil becomes weak, they possess a human to survive. While possessing a human, they're no longer considered a devil. Instead, they take on some of their host's personality and become something known as a fiend. Throughout Chainsaw Man's first part, we meet several friends, but most prominent out of all of them is the narcissistic blood fiend Power. Power is an interesting character and sort of a co-protagonist with Denji throughout the Chainsaw Man story. On the surface, she really shouldn't be likable thanks to her negative traits, but she still manages to be a complex character. And by the end of Chainsaw Man's first part, she goes from an annoyance to Denji to someone who considers him a true friend. But how does she get there? Today we're going to be analyzing Power in terms of her strength, history, and some of her inspirations. But be warned though, there are going to be some major spoilers later in this video. Starting off, let's talk about why she's called Power. It's for two main reasons. First, it fits her personality. She's constantly bragging about how strong she is. But there's some irony to it, since she still answers to Makima's authority. The second reason is that all the devils and fiends that work for public safety are named after angels. For example, the violent fiend named Galgali is short for Galgalim, and the spider devil named Princey is short for Principality. Power is named after a class of angels known as the Powers. In theology, powers are angels that have power over evil, so it fits that Power is a devil hunter. And Power makes quite the devil hunter. Like we've mentioned in previous videos, the more feared a devil is, the stronger it is. And blood is something a lot of people have a phobia of, since if you're bleeding, you're probably injured. As a blood fiend, Power is able to manipulate her own blood and harden it into a variety of weapons such as spears or hammers. She can also control other people's blood, but much more to a limited extent. Similarly to Denji and his chainsaws, Power can't use her blood manipulation too much. If she loses too much blood, she'll become anemic. Luckily, she's a fiend, so she's much harder to kill than the average person. Another interesting note about Power is that the more blood she drinks, the stronger she gets. After consuming enough blood, Power's body even changes. For one, her horns grow a lot bigger and it comes with a massive boost in strength, strong enough to floor Denji with a single punch. But whenever she gets too strong, Makima makes sure Power's extra blood gets drained, so she's always not as strong as she could be. But even with public safety keeping her intentionally weakened, Power is still a skilled devil hunter. She's capable of taking down a weak devil, such as the sea cucumber devil, in a single hit. Now, how exactly did a fiend like Power end up as a devil hunter? Well, let's take a moment to talk about Power's history. We don't actually know what Power's life as a blood devil was like, or how she ended up in a body of whoever Power was as a human. We do see some snapshots of her past though. Before joining public safety, Power was living in the countryside and eating wild animals she found. This changed one day when she found a malnourished house cat. She figured the cat was too sick for her to eat, so she took it in and fed it. Her plan was to fatten it up and eat it, but Power grew too attached to her cat and ended up taking care of little Meowie. Clearly, Power's not the best at coming up with names. Eventually, Power's feral life in the wilderness came to an end when an injured bat devil abducted her cat and told her to feed him a human. Before she could do that, Power was captured by Makima's public safety division. Since she was more intelligent than most fiends and devils, she was made an official devil hunter. Power was still focused on getting Meowie back, so she planned to sacrifice her devil hunting partner to the bat devil. In this case, her partner was Denji. But things didn't go as planned when the Bat Devil decided to eat her too, and she ended up having a change of heart when Denji saved her, so she decided to stay with Denji and public safety. Of course, Power doesn't exactly like her job. In fact, she makes it clear that she hates humans. But it's either work as a devil hunter or be killed, so she chooses to keep up the work. But not all Power's co-workers want her around exactly. See, Power doesn't exactly have a friendly personality. She's egotistical, a compulsive liar, and has poor hygiene. The only person who Power seems to have some amount of respect for is Makima. Well, it's more like fear. In Chapter 5, Makima calmly asks Power to be quiet, which immediately shuts her up, something which surprises Denji on the account of her loud personality. Fun fact about Power, according to Fujimoto, her characterization was inspired by two other famously loudmouth and self-centered characters, those being Cartman from South Park and Walter from The Big Lebowski. Just like those two characters, Power is rude to people she knows and often acts like she knows more than she really does. Of course, Power may just have more redeeming qualities than someone like Cartman. While working, Power often makes things more difficult for her team, doing things like eating all the food while her team is trapped in a hotel with no way out, or hijacking a car and hitting Denji with it. Despite Power's constant claims of being the strongest, she's also shown to be incredibly childish. She refuses to eat any vegetables and instead has Denji eat them for her. We also see a more vulnerable side to her personality later in the manga. After an encounter with a powerful darkness devil, Power is pretty traumatized and refuses to do anything without Denji to help her. He seems annoyed by the whole ordeal, but agrees to help Power out. Eventually, Power considers Denji to be her friend. She sees him a lot like her, since he's half human, half devil like she is. Now, this next part of the video is gonna get into some late game spoilers for Chainsaw Man's first part. If you haven't read the last arc of the manga yet, you might want to sit this one out. But if you're still here, let's get started. We're going to talk about Power's eventual transformation back into the Blood Devil. As awesome as her Blood Devil form is, Power's transformation does not come under the best circumstances. Power was actually killed by the Control Devil. However, she managed to survive. You see, Power made Denji drink some of her blood earlier, and thanks to Power's blood being inside Denji, she survived inside him. When Denji was seemingly about to be killed by the Control Devil, Power was then awakened. Inside Denji, she meets Pachita, the original Chainsaw Devil who tells Power what to do. Power drinks some of Pachita's blood, and Pachita's blood is so potent that it immediately restores Power to her full Blood Devil form. Power comes out of Denji as the Blood Devil. Power's design as the Blood Devil is a multi-armed humanoid that looks like the top of her body is exploding. This version of Power is strong enough to rain down dozens of blood spears on her enemies. She kills many of the Control Devil's workers. Sadly, even in her Blood Devil form, she's still overwhelmed and is nearly killed. She drags Denji into a dumpster to hide in. Power makes a deal with Denji. She'll give up the rest of her vitality in order to heal him. So, in exchange for healing him, Power gives Denji one last request. She says, go find the Blood Devil, find them, make friends with them somehow, and turn the Blood Devil back into Power again. But from what we know, that should be impossible. As a fiend, her unique combination of the Blood Devil and whoever she was before becoming possessed can never be the same. So when Power dies, that will technically be the end of her and the rebirth of an original Blood Devil back in hell. Power doesn't have any regrets as she dies. She's just happy to have Denji as a friend. And even if she's not able to come back as herself, she knows Denji will fulfill his contract and befriend the reborn Blood Devil. That's the last we've seen of both Power and the Blood Devil. And the Chainsaw Man's second part is only just the beginning. You never know when the Blood Devil may show up again.